Hi! So, I've recently had to delete a few negative comments from my YouTube videos, particularly those that include Astarion, comparing him to a cheating bastard and an emotionally immature 12-year-old, etc. Truth be told, this made me angry enough to create a lengthy video about his character and why it's better than you think, and pull out all my character arc knowledge because I'm studying theater science and I kinda need to show I know what I'm talking about here. Because I can't help but think that these people kind of missed the point of Astarion's character and his development over the story in Baldur's Gate 3. So I've decided to, unlike my usual short animatics, to attempt an in-depth character analysis of why Astarion's story and also his struggles matter more than meets the eye at first glance. It is important to note that this video merely mirrors my own interpretation and my own opinion of the events in Baldur's Gate 3 and has nothing to do with the canon story or the intentions of the writers. So, yeah. In this video, I want to delve into who Astarion is as a character precisely, how his trauma has shaped him, and what we as a player, or how we interact with him as a player, can learn from Astarion. Now the first question is, who is Astarion? Astarion is, first and foremost, a very intriguing companion in Baldur's Gate 3, and he has the relatively obvious secret of being a vampire spawn. His personality shows a kind of unique blend of characteristics, and they all combine to a complex character. So this analysis will try to delve into his personality, into his backstory, and last but not least, his motivations to provide a deeper understanding of his character. Damn, there's a lot of character in this. Well, it's Astarion, so. First, let's look at his personality. Astarion exudes a lot of charm and charisma, and he often uses those to manipulate others to achieve his goals. And this is also one of the main reasons why he has become such a beloved character of the game, I think. I'm not kidding, my TikTok page is full of Astarion. I'm not complaining, okay? Just putting it out here. So, Astarion is a master of disguise and subterfuge, and this is making it very difficult to see his true nature and his true intentions. In addition, his primary driving force is his self-preservation. He is a vampire spawn, so he is used to a lot of hostility, and he definitely is very opportunistic and selfish. Classic rogue, you guys! This is me in D&D. Okay, no, sorry. And all of the above is also kind of reflected in his moral ambiguity. Astarion has no qualms really about preying on the weak or indulging in acts that others might find reprehensible. Literally, whenever I have an Astarion playthrough, I kind of feel bad for the dialogue choices that let him approve, but that's a different story. And he also possesses a certain level of pragmatism, however, so he knows when to form alliances. He knows when it's necessary. Lastly, to add sort of a lighter element to his character, Astarion's dialogue options are often laced with sarcasm and dark humor, which he often uses as a defense mechanism to kind of distance himself from his own nature, as well as to deflect uncomfortable questions. As mentioned before, Astarion is a vampire spawn who has been turned over 200 years before the start of the campaign in Baldur's Gate 3. One theory shows how he has died at only 39 years of age, and this is especially tragic if you look at elven lore, because in the world of Faerun, elves can get up to 750 years old. So while they physically mature at the same rate as humans, they are still considered children up until the age of 100, where they choose their own adult name. So not only has Astarion been turned while he was still a child in elven regards, If you look at the ratio of 39 years of living in comparison to 200 years of abuse at the hands of his master Cazador, he has spent most of his immortal life knowing abuse and fear, while trying to cling to the last remains of what makes him him. And it was kind of only after the insertion of the tadpole that he has the freedom to do as he pleases for the first time in like over 200 years. So naturally, he becomes very angry and wants to get his revenge. Kind of understandable, really. So for now, his motivations can be summarized into 3 points. First, survival. Astarion's primary motivation is to survive and learn how to control the tadpole, and this is also what drives him to join the player's party in their quest, as it provides him with both protection and opportunities to ensure that he won't be turning into a mind flayer, bonus points for staying out of Cazador's reach. Second, revenge. Astarion harbors a deep desire for revenge against Cazador, and with his newfound allies and abilities that free him from Cazador's influence, anger over his treatment surfaces, naturally, as well as a decent chance to take down his master. So his quest for vengeance is another powerful motivator for Astarion's actions. And thirdly, the exploration of his identity. Astarion's journey is about exploring his own identity as much as it is about his revenge at Cazador, because now for the first time he can figure out who he is outside of Cazador's grasp, who he can be, and to a certain amount, depending on the player choices, who he could and should be. This also brings me to my second point. Astarion is a trauma survivor. While Astarion does not explicitly display signs of post-traumatic stress disorder within the game's storyline, there are elements of his character and backstory that suggest he may be dealing with psychological trauma and emotional distress, which are often associated with PTSD. These include flashbacks and nightmares. PTSD often involves reliving traumatic events through intrusive thoughts, flashbacks, or nightmares. While Astarion's vampiric transformation is not directly portrayed in the game, it can be inferred that the process was traumatic for him. His nightmares of Cazador looking for him can either be seen as Cazador going into contact with his spawn, or as a nightmare in which he is reliving his past. 2. Hyperarousal. People with PTSD may exhibit signs of hypervigilance or heightened startle responses. Astarion's constant state of alertness, particularly when it comes to threats to his own survival, could be seen as a manifestation of hyperarousal. 3. Avoidance and emotional numbing. Individuals with PTSD often avoid reminders of the trauma and may become emotionally detached. Astarion's tendency to distance himself from others, his sarcastic and detached demeanor, and his reluctance to discuss his past could be interpreted as efforts to avoid dealing with the emotional trauma associated with his vampiric transformation. 4. Irritability and mood swings. PTSD can lead to irritability and mood swings. Astarion's sometimes erratic behavior and dark sense of humor could be seen as coping mechanisms for dealing with his emotional turmoil. And last but not least, 5. Survival instinct. Astarion possesses a strong desire for self-preservation, which drives many of his actions in the game, which may also be a manifestation of his traumatic past. It is important to note that while these elements suggest that Astarion may be dealing with emotional distress and trauma, the game does not explicitly diagnose him with PTSD or explore his psychological condition in detail. So players may interpret his character in various ways, just like I did, and the presence of trauma in his backstory adds depth to his character, but does not define it entirely. So this merely shows my interpretation of some events in the game. Now, lastly, what role does the player have in all of this? Well, showing kindness to someone who has experienced trauma, like Astarion in my example, and helping them cope with their trauma can have a positive impact on their ability to be kinder to themselves and their own trauma. Here's how this process can work. So, when you show kindness and empathy to a traumatized person, you validate their feelings and experiences. This validation can help them recognize that what they went through was significant and deserving of attention, reducing feelings of self-blame and self-doubt. Additionally, offering emotional support and understanding can create a safe space for a traumatized individual to express their emotions and vulnerabilities. This can encourage them to be more compassionate towards themselves, acknowledging that their reactions to trauma are valid, and their opinions are important, and especially their boundaries are important. Of course, this also leads to building trust, because trauma can definitely erode a person's trust in others and themselves entirely. In Astarion case, I think it's more the trust in others than the trust in himself. He literally only has himself to trust, and by being consistently kind and supportive, he can help rebuild trust in interpersonal relationships. Astarion's character arc in Baldur's Gate 3 really is a masterclass in depth and complexity, far surpassing the initial allure of his outward appearance. While at first glance he may appear as the archetypical charismatic vampire, beneath the surface lies a character whose significance resonates on multiple levels. At its core, Astarion's character arc is a profound exploration of trauma and how to heal from trauma, or dive deeper into it, depending on what choice you pick. Damn, I felt very dramatic when I wrote that, didn't I? Through Astarion's struggle to reconcile his past as a noble with his vampiric nature, players are invited to delve into the emotional turmoil of trauma survivors, touching upon themes of loss, identity, and the enduring scars that shape our lives. Beyond the surface-level allure, Astarion presents a moral enigma. His morally ambiguous actions force players to question their own judgments and challenge conventional notions of good and evil. His character prompts us to confront the complexities of redemption, forgiveness, and the blurred lines between heroism and villainy, reminding us that people are rarely defined by a single facet of their identity. Perhaps most importantly, Astarion's character arc champions the power of empathy and interpersonal relationships. His interactions with other party members demonstrate the transformative potential of kindness, compassion, and understanding. Through him, players witness the profound impact of genuine connection on those who have suffered, underscoring the importance of human connection and overcoming personal barriers and healing. Astarion is more than just a charming vampire. He is a catalyst for introspection, a mirror reflecting our own struggles and complexities. His character arc invites players to engage with profound themes of trauma, morality, identity, and empathy, elevating the game's storytelling to a level of depth and sophistication that lingers in the player's mind long after the game ends. In the end, Astarion stands as a testament to the richness of character development and storytelling, where even the most alluring facades can conceal depths of meaning and complexity waiting to be explored. Hello again! Well, this video kind of turned into a rant real quick. I didn't expect to write a total of 7 pages of script exploring Astarion, let alone that I was keeping this analysis as short as possible in the process. I apologize for the use of dramatic and flowery language. This always happens when I write, so I just decided to keep it in there. And I know this video is completely different from what I've posted so far on this channel. Like a lot more serious and also more surprisingly completely and entirely my own content. Because of this, more than ever, I'd be really interested in your feedback. You know I read all your stuff. I reply to way too many comments. You know I do. So yeah, would you want me to attempt a character analysis like this with another Baldur's Gate 3 companion? Or do you just want more narrator outtakes, which is also totally valid? Another part is in the process, by the way. I'm just trying to animate a full outtake video this time, and that's why it takes longer. And I'd be very happy to have your honest opinion, your honest critics, a la don't do this again, I like X but change Y, etc. This is me trying out stuff, so yeah. Let me know what you think and see you around. I also apologize if my voice is a bit monotone in this. I have a cold, and so recording this really wasn't the best idea. And I also tend to have a stutter when I'm a bit nervous, so I think for that we're doing great. Yeah, thank you. Please let me know what you think. Okay, bye.